When you work in data privacy law, you know your most important tool isn't just some statute book, it's language itself. Today, we're diving into a grammar point that might seem small, but it can literally be the difference between signaling solid compliance and accidentally admitting to risk. So let's jump right in.
This is the principle we live by, right? In our field, words aren't just words. They're the very foundation of contracts, the architecture of our arguments, and, honestly, our primary defense against liability. Every single term has to be exact, deliberate, and completely unambiguous.
And that's exactly what we're going to unpack. It's a grammatical choice that seems so minor, but in a client brief or a regulatory filing, it can paint two entirely different pictures of a company's data privacy posture. It's a huge deal.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with why this precision is so critical. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of what I call the grammar of the customary and the grammar of the transitional. We'll put them head-to-head to see the real-world implications, and I'll leave you with a super clear framework you can start using immediately.
Okay, let's zoom in on two phrases that look deceptively simple: is used to and is not used to. You know, in just regular conversation, we might not think twice about them. But in a legal privacy context, they carry incredibly different weights. They actually define the line between a stable, compliant practice and a risky work in progress.
All right, let's dive into this first structure. This is the grammar we use when we're talking about a state of stability, of routine, something that has basically become second nature.
The formula itself is pretty straightforward. You've got your subject, the verb to be, the phrase used to be, and this is the crucial part, a verb in its ing form, a gerund. What this structure screams is that an action is habitual, it's familiar, it's established. It tells you that any initial learning curve is long gone. This is just standard operating procedure now.
Just look at how each of these examples really communicates a deeply embedded process. When you say the team is used to performing daily scans, that suggests total reliability. Are used to documenting implies that rigorous accountability is just part of the workflow. And is used to conducting audits? Well, that signals a mature, proactive compliance program. These aren't new things they're trying out. This is the status quo.
Okay, let's put this to the test. Imagine this scenario. After a ton of investment in training, a really critical security task is now just part of the team's daily rhythm. How would you phrase that to show that they've got this down cold?
Exactly. You'd say the staff is used to recognizing these threats. This phrasing makes a confident statement that the skill is fully integrated, the training's done, the habit is formed, and, from a legal standpoint, you're showing that the risk has been demonstrably mitigated.
Okay, now let's flip the script and look at the other side of the coin, the grammar of transition. This is the language of adaptation, of change, and of potential vulnerability.
The structure looks almost identical, doesn't it? But adding that one little word, not, it completely flips the meaning on its head. This now describes a state of unfamiliarity, of an ongoing adjustment. It implies that a process is still new, maybe even difficult, and definitely not yet a seamless part of the routine. Take a look at these. They all signal that something is in flux. The new counsel is still on a learning curve. The new employees are still adapting. The team is still getting the hang of the new systems. From a risk perspective, every single one of these sentences flags an area that needs more oversight, a potential, even if temporary, gap in full expertise.
All right, another quick scenario for you. A new chief privacy officer is trying to find their rhythm working with teams across different time zones and legal frameworks. It's not quite smooth sailing yet. How do you accurately and carefully describe that situation?
That's it. Is not used to collaborating is the perfect, precise choice. Now, this doesn't mean they're incompetent, not at all. It just accurately describes an ongoing process of adaptation. For legal purposes, this flags an area that might need extra support to make sure no compliance gaps pop up during this transition period.
Okay, so this is really the crucial point, understanding the direct implications of your choice between these two forms. Let's put them right next to each other to make the contrast absolutely crystal clear.
Look at the language here. On the left with is used to, you get words like routine, habitual, and compliant. It projects total stability. But on the right with is not used to, you've got new, transitional, and adapting. It signals unfamiliarity and, most critically, a potential gap. One side describes a fortress, the other describes a fortress that's still under construction.
And this is where the real-world stakes just slap you in the face. Statement A tells a regulator or opposing counsel that your security protocols are fully baked in.
It's business as usual. Statement B, though, that's a huge red flag. It signals that training is still happening and that a potential compliance risk exists right now. That one little word, not, completely reframes the entire legal picture.
So, how do we make sure we get this right every single time? Let's distill all this down into a clear, actionable framework you can use in your own work to communicate with absolute precision.
It's really a simple three-step process. First, just assess the reality of the situation. Is this a stable routine or is it a work in progress? Second, based on that, pick the right form. And third, just do a quick grammar check. Make sure the verb that follows is in its ing form. This simple little checklist can save you from some serious miscommunication.
And that's really the key takeaway here. In our line of work, mastering grammar isn't just some academic exercise. It's about wielding a powerful tool that lets you communicate with incredible accuracy, build rock-solid arguments, and, at the end of the day, effectively manage legal risk for your clients and your organization.
So I'll leave you with this question to take back to your practice. The next time you're writing a memo, a brief, or a report, just pause for a second and ask yourself, am I describing a customary state of compliance or a transitional one? Because the choice of a single word will give the answer. Choose it with precision.